Welcome back to the C Morning Show. As we know that Eid al-Fitr celebration is approaching.
Yes.
Homecoming is one of the biggest traditions, especially for Muslim here in Indonesia, or probably around the region, like in Malaysia,
Yes,
in Singapore.
that's right. Philippines, we were
exactly,
bringing the news.
Choices of transportation mode are available, ranging from plans to private cars.
Now, private cars, that's going to take a long time in the car, where traffic congestion during Eid homecoming trip is not uncommon, but it's important for homecoming travelers, especially those traveling with children. Ooh, get ready for that. To have a high level of patience, parents, to overcome frustration caused by long tailbacks. And beside a high level of patience, travelers need to be mentally prepared to brace the challenges during their trip. A lot of snacks too, by the way.
Yeah, buckle up, parents. And to be to have a better understand the preparation and the psychological perspectives, we are joined with mental health practitioner and researcher Maizan Dianati. Hi,
welcome back, as always.
Here again.
It's great to have you.
Oh, it's a very it's a very challenging situation for homecoming, especially for parents and new parents, especially.
Yeah, with babies.
With babies.
Who doesn't stop crying.
Yes, and especially for those who probably will have a first experience for homecoming.
Yep.
To the mother-in-law.
Yes, after
lives in outside, after the pandemic.
After 2 years and a half, you're right. This is actually the first year we're going to do this again.
Exactly.
All
So,
right.
speaking of psychological perspective, what should parents prepare for the situation, especially for the young ones, for the homecoming?
Okay, so yeah, like homecoming journey, like many other family types of long journey, like it can be a great source of, it can be an outlet there, like for building a good memories, but it is inevitable that it can also be the source of like a hotbed of emotions
and trauma.
Like being confined in one space like for a long time. So there are certain things that parents can do in order to avoid the uncomfortable situations. First one is to set up the expectations before the journey itself. So maybe discuss or communicate with the kids about the trip's itinerary, what types of rules and consequences that that need to be done, and then like maybe if it's like with the small children, parents can summarize these things like written types of like paper or like illustrated, like if they haven't been able to read first, then like maybe place it on the back area of the car or like in their backpacks to make sure they are aware about the trip itself. And then the second one, usually children would tend to be more anxious when they have lack of control over the situation.
Right.
So helping them to get more information about the destination itself, what types of things that they can do there, who are the family members that they will see. It can also like improve their sense of familiarity and it would decrease the stress level. Other than that, as we all know, like children can act up when they are bored.
Exactly.
For more than 10 hours.
So like preparing about some games or conversations that parents would know would entertain the children can be helpful.
I mean, if the kids are already toddler, I think imagine they can already reciprocate and they understand when they say, the parents say, well, we're going to have a 10-hour road trip. So you have to understand if you need to go to the loo, if you need to go to the restroom, please do tell us. I mean, or maybe the parents could have an itinerary so they have to break down within those 10 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours to lay over somewhere else. But for like Shafura mentioned, if you're a new, you have a newborn baby, that's very different because when I go to homecoming, it's a 17-hour flight from Indonesia all the way to the United States. I'm telling you, whenever that I'm going home, like I'm scheduled to go back home in June, I'm already very traumatized from today. I'm like, my baby's still, I mean, she's not a baby, but she's gonna be 2 years old. But like, I'm already anxious because I know when she was a little, and she was crying. I remember my kids, my two boys were crying, nonstop tears and whatnot. I have to stand up on the plane and I have to see people looking at me and whatnot. And it really does crucifying the parents, like, oh my God, so homecoming doesn't feel like happy anymore. I'm just hoping within those 17 hours I can live through. Exactly. How can we kind of deflect from the parents, deflect from those feeling and anxiousness because we went through it before and hopefully we wish that something will be better this time.
Because yeah, like if it's a baby, yeah, like or like very young
Under
toddlers,
2 years, yes.
It would be, I mean, like the control is more on the parent side, right? Like because we cannot transfer any knowledge to the kids itself first. So yeah, like first of all, maybe like maintain expectations because yeah, like as we all want, like we want like a very smooth journey, right? But for like traveling with very small kids, like every now and then there would be like some types of stressors that would arise, tantrums, because like they are still having difficulties to express their emotions, right? So just see it like as not like a failure, but more like how they express or communicate with us. But one of the things that can be helpful for this is to anticipate the stressors, right? Like, so maybe if you're traveling by planes or like by trains, like making sure that you choose the seat that is very near to the lavatory because like they still have low control over their bladders, for example. And then like if they still have like some kind of sensory issues, because they would tend to be more sensitive compared to the older ones, like maybe bringing some blanket, their favorite toys that they can snuggle, and then like some earmuff, like it would be helpful as well, like to reduce the the sense of discomfort for them.
Especially if you're riding a plane because you have the air pressure, right? And this also goes for train and also people riding boats.
I remember
you have a lot of people.
The first time I had this homecoming experience when I was a child, maybe around 4, 5 years old. I went to Surabaya by train. It was like an old train, no aircon. Like everybody is there, like it's super packed, so many people. I was cried on the train, and I'm thinking about to jump off from the train because it feels like, oh my God, why? What takes a very long time from Jakarta to Surabaya, it gets me traumatized. But my parents didn't understand how I felt that time because it's more than 23 hours on a train without air conditioner, and it's very dirty. So many people. So what do you think? What are the things that usually cause children feel uncomfortable? For me, it's unclean. Unclean places, or probably the food are not nice. Too many people, so many strangers. Something like that.
Is that.
Exactly.
Like again, like the unfamiliar things, because like they need more time to adapt with the situations. So like unfamiliar types of journey, and then like too much people, unfamiliar faces, what type of things that they
the
will
language
do.
Is
the language barrier.
God.
So all of these differences like can cause them to feel like they are less secure. So that's why like they would feel more anxious. But interestingly, like I think like based on the recent study published by the Ford company, it turns out that the main thing that can promote the anxiety on children during long journey is the behaviors of parents itself. So when they feel that the parents are getting tense, let's say they have arguments against each other or something, or cursing at other people because like they also feel frustrated about like the other drivers or the other passengers, like it can make children to feel like less secure. And then like it would cause them to feel like more stressed.
Especially like you were saying before, like you mentioning that you went to Surabaya from Jakarta, and for kids, sometimes we have to anticipate. They're going to meet with their families, maybe who were brought up in Surabaya, you were brought up in Jakarta. Even languages could be a barrier, right? Here we would say, hey, apa kabar? And they're like, piye kabar, right? And they're like, what is it? And what the difference? So how can we make our children feel comfortable, not even amongst their own inner family, let's say with cousins and aunties and uncles, and they don't feel like I'm such an outsider because I come from a different city?
So I think first, like anticipations beforehand, like maybe show pictures or videos of the other family members. So they would have more expectations. Okay, like this is how my auntie, my grandparents look like, and how they express themselves. Maybe like a video call before the trip itself, so they would feel what's called like more warmed up
Yes,
with the
and
situation.
familiarized. Yeah.
And then like once they got there, like start in a like slow pace.
Yeah.
So introduce them like slowly. And if they are not being too friendly at the beginning, like don't pressure them too much because
Right.
they need time, right? Like to assess the situations, to observe like how are the other people are responding to their behaviors.
Yeah.
So like just encourage them to communicate, but do it like in a comfortable way.
Right, because sometimes we're like, okay, go play with your cousin, and they're like, I don't know them. This is my first time meeting them.
Exactly, that's what I experienced. I remember one day, that time I was stay in my room, like didn't go out until afternoon because it was my first time, and I think I was in my secondary school, so I start to recognize people and who are these people?
Even though they're your family, right?
Yes, very, very close family.
Right.
I will stay in my room because I'm not feeling comfortable, secure. I feel awkward, not welcome, like, oh my God, I just want to go back. I just want to go back, something like that. So basically, it's really need consideration from our parents about this homecoming. It's not just a trip for the parents to meet the big or the whole family, but also for the children.
Yes,
right. So they
definitely
have to
for
tell
them.
a story first. They have to do the precautions.
Yeah.
Right. To do the like telling a story. How do the trip is going to. How the trip will going to, and the vehicles that they choose, are they going to do with the, are they going to public transport, or they're going to use their private car? Exactly.
So when you were in Surabaya, were you in the Surabaya city, or is it a
Surabaya
rural?
city.
Okay, so you're from city to city, right? But there are some people also that is going from a big city to, let's say, to a more
like a village.
Like a village, right? Like a rural area. How can we kind of give that expectation to our children? Like maybe, you will see malls in our hometown, but when we're going to go to grandma's house, it's going to be very different. It's going to be outdoorsy. How can we make, our children to be comfortable with that kind of switch?
So first, like maybe we can observe our children's interests. So like if they are into like experiencing the nature, like we can start from that. Like, like it will be very different from Jakarta, let's say.
But we're such a big city.
Yeah, but in there, like, like you can play in a playground here, but there, like we can do maybe like in the morning, we can do like a morning walk together with the other cousins, so we can explore the areas, look at the rice fields, so things like that. Or maybe like if they are into like socializing, like we can promote like that part. So like they're, like here we only live like with our inner circle of family, but there will be loads of people there, and there are people who are your age. So I think it will be fun. Like you can bring your toys here, introduce to your cousins there, and maybe your cousins can introduce like some kind of games there. So start from like something that would excite them in a way, and then like after that maybe also like introduce about some informations that can be on a not so good, not on the good side, like for example like it will be different in terms of like sleeping, like you have to share it, let's say like if you stay like with the cousin stuff, so it will be maybe less comfortable, but in the end like it will be like a good experience, like you would learn new things, you would learn to adapt in new culture, and to understanding like some types of informations that you cannot get here. So like talk about like the whole things that would happen, but try to help them to understand like the good sides of the negative things.
All right, always in the positive note.
So basically, there's a positive and negative way.
Yes.
Like you mentioned earlier, that basically homecoming, it's such a great experience.
Of course,
it can create a lot of memories. I have a good memories back then until today. But how about the time? Sometimes parents didn't realize about that. They took the children for more than 10 hours straight just because they want to be there. Just, no, I just want to be there before the morning prayer. Something like that. I want to avoid the traffic. I want to, I want to drive at night. They don't think about the children's conditions. What about that? How do parents must
I mean, yeah,
consider
like
it?
ideally, like they need to understand, yeah, like the biological clock of the children. So like especially with the small kids, like I think it would be better to have a long journey at the time that they would be exhausted, right? Like so it would be easier to avoid all of the tantrums, let's say, because like they would feel like like more tired to do like many activities or to have like loads of expectations. So that's why like they would feel less disappointed when when they are on the journey itself. But if it's really needed, let's say like to beat the traffic, and they think that like it would be more comfortable for the parent side, because parents' well-being also mattered, right? Like for the long journey itself. So if that's the case, maybe provide like some kind of like entertainments that the children would like. Let's say like making a playlist of music, so parents can play it like when the children are feeling like like a bit agitated about something. And then like if traveling like with private cars, maybe like providing like blankets, pillows, toys.
Something
so
more convenient for
Yes.
the whole the family, not the stuff.
Not the
Because
stuff, yes.
people tend to
Overstuff
fill the car with the stuff.
You're right.
We cannot move our body.
Oh, you know what I stuff in my car? It's always snacks, because my kids love to snack. And Maizan, the most important thing, if you're using a private car or a private vehicle, is very different because you have that some source of your private environment. Well, public transportation is different, whether it's air, by land, or by the sea. So what should the parent prepare? Like, of course, I think the prepared of the toys and games and also that makes them comfortable is the same. But what should we also prepare as a parents? Because I think we have to expect that our children cannot just sit tight for 17 hours, 10 hours, or even 5 hours. We have to be ready for their tantrums. We have to be ready. People are looking at us. Maybe the kid would run around. I mean, I see some, kids when I was riding a train just run back and forth. I'm like, wow, this guy must be tired. But like the parents are there just, feeling so angry, so sad, all in one emotion. And of course, me as a mom, I would want to say, it's okay, mom, it's okay, you don't worry, there's no judgment. But not everyone is just like us. Because there is someone will be looking at the mothers like, can you take care of the kid? How come the kid is like, I know, I'm paying for the same tickets here, take care of your child. How should we anticipate for all of that?
Okay, so like if the kids are already able to comprehend the concept itself, like maybe like try to show them like a video or like a picture illustration of like what it would feel like when you are, let's say, in the boat or in the plane or in the train. So they would know like what are certain rules that about like being in a public space, and then
they imagine it.
Yeah, they imagine things, and then like they would know, right? Like once like parents would remind them about the rules, like they would know, okay, like my parents are being sensible, because like it's the thing that would maybe like what's called disrupt other people's attention, let's say, or comfort. So, but like again, sometimes like parents can educate, but sometimes like the behaviors of the children can be outside of parents' control, right?
Yes.
So
Can control everything.
so when it happened, like just assure yourself that you've already done your part.
best.
So when it happened, just accept it. Like sometimes like things are not always going to our expectations. And like if you get judgment from other people, I mean like
you're not gonna see them again. Don't worry, they're strangers.
I want to offer you something. You want some cake? You want something?
I know, as long as you're doing something, because I had a time where my baby at 6 hours from, I remember, Tokyo all the way to Singapore, didn't stop crying. I was standing up for the past for that 6 hours, and people were coming to me like, I'm so sorry, I wish that we can help you, but thank you for doing your part. Because I could just sit down and I don't care, because the baby's still gonna cry, sit down or not. But people are saying, thank you so much, you're a good mom and whatnot, you should feel good about yourself. And I guess if you're doing the best that you can to kind of handle your children, they would understand too, because the child is child. Yes,
too, right?
and babies are still babies. And just one more from me, if you're gonna go by flight, if it's more than 10 hours, take the red-eye flight. Make sure it's the time for your kids to go to sleep, so then they'll follow on the schedule of sleeping, right? And then when you lay over somewhere, just let them loose, so they're gonna be tired and they're gonna go back to sleep again. Sleep and sleep and eat and sleep. There you go. All right, anyways, Thank you so much for being here
You're
with us.
welcome. It's always a good time here.
Definitely. Hopefully, our viewers they're going to have a very fun and memorable homecoming this Eid. All right, we're going to take a break right now, but when we return, we'll have updates from around the world from earlier segments. So stay tuned right here on the C Morning Show only on C Today.
Come on, team.